Howdy, everyone. Today I'm going to be reading my novelette. My name is Elsie Salinas, and I am the author of The Properties of Matter. And this is catered to grade kindergarten, and it covers the topics of science and reading for kindergarten. Specifically for science, it covers matter and its properties. And so our objective is that the student knows that objects have physical properties that determine how they are described and classified. The student is expected to identify and record observable physical properties of objects, including shape, color, texture, and material, and generate ways to classify objects. For our reading teak, it covers composition, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and thinking using multiple texts writing the process. The student uses the writing process to recursively to compose multiple texts that are legible and uses appropriate conventions. The student is expected to A, plan the generating ideas for writing those through discussions, observations, and drawings. B, develop drafts in oral, pictorial, or written form by organizing ideas. And C, revise drafts by adding details in pictures or words. D, they will edit drafts with adult assistance using standard English conventions, including complete sentences. So I believe that students will love this novelette because of the fun illustrations and the realistic universal perspective that this shows about school science labs throughout the world. As we're reading, I would like for you to think about two questions and answer while you are reading. First, what are characteristics of a solid, liquid, and gas? And second, which state do you interact with the most in your daily lives? All right, I hope you enjoy my novelette. Julie was a happy little kindergartner. Today, in science class, Julie's teacher gave a lesson about the three different states of matter and their properties. Her teacher explained that the three states of matter are solid, liquid, and gas. Julie's teacher was talking about different features and attributes each of the different states of matter has. Julie's teacher had examples of all three states of matter: a glass of milk, a rock, and a tank of helium. Julie's teacher began with the rock, and she explained that it was in the solid state of matter. Some of the characteristics of a rock are that it is hard and it is made of tiny, tightly packed particles. It is a definite volume size, which means it does not take the shape of its container and takes up a specific amount of space. Julie touched the rock and realized it was hard and did not change shape. She observed that the rock remained the same, just as she had seen rocks outside. She realized that the rock was a solid. She says, "Wow, this rock is heavy and hard. It is a solid." Next, Julie's teacher began to talk about liquids. Liquids take the shape of their container and have loose particles that move around very easily. They can also be absorbed and are very flexible. Julie and her classmates were instructed to take the glass of milk and pour it into another container. Julie observed that the liquid moved very easily into the next container, and it took a new shape of the new container she was given. She realized that liquids move easier and have particles that are compacted in a looser way. Afterwards, the educator talked to Julie and her class about the state of gas. She explained that the characteristics of a gas are that it is very loose, it has very loose particles, and does take on the shape or form of a container. It usually travels in air and typically cannot be seen. Julie's teacher then blew up a balloon with the helium and the gas that stretched the balloon to a very big size. Julie observed that the balloon grew a lot because it was being filled with helium gas. The teacher then let go of the balloon and it floated to the very top of the classroom ceiling. Julie was astounded as the teacher explained that this was specific gas was very light and even lighter than the air we breathe, and it would float up, up, up into the sky. Julie's teacher is now passing the objects around for her and all of her classmates to look at one more time. She asks them to write down what they see and feel with their hands. Julie writes down everything she sees in her notebook. She notices that the rock has tight particles, and it is very hard, making it not change shape. She writes down what she observes in the liquid state of milk. She describes it as very wet to touch, very easy to move, and that it takes the shape of a new container she put it in. Finally, she describes how cool the gas state is. She says that the gas is very light, and gases have very loose particles that can float up, up, up. She says that it took the shape of the balloon and stretched it out. Finally, Julie's teacher asks her and her classmates to share what they wrote with each other. As she talks to her classmates, she realizes that they all learned the same thing. Solids have tight particles and do not change to their container, while liquids have loose particles and change to their container and are very wet, and gases are very light with loose particles. How awesome it is to learn about the three states of matter. Okay, that is the end. Okay, so with that being the end of the story, I would like for you to answer one last question. Which state of matter is your favorite and why? I hope you enjoyed my novelette today.